The Life of a Kenyan, Kenya Revised Edition, 1938, Andrea Drone and Autumn Royer.
During the 20th century, Kenya became Britain's most attractive colony. During the slave trade and the suppression of the Kenyan people, Kenya still maintained its colorful background. Since 1895, Kenya had been represented as a protectorate, which was proclaimed as a crown colony under the name of the Kenya Colony. The name Kenya was first formed from Mount Kenya, the highest mountain in the colony. The colony was filled with vigorous life, pride in achievement, and a strong belief in its future. Throughout this video, we will demonstrate how life in Kenyan society consisted of trade, administration, social life, religious institutions, agriculture, transport systems from the Indian Ocean to the center of Africa, and education throughout colonization and through gaining their independence.
Go. 2, 1.
Beginning with Vasco da Gama entering the Mombasa harbor in 1498, East Africa was very susceptible to invaders. During this time period, expansion and colonization were key goals of every big civilization. Neighboring societies such as the Arabs, Egyptians, Chinese, Persians, and Portuguese all had this goal of expansion in their plan. With many civilizations all fighting for the same goal, World War I broke out. The British, who happened to be one of the strongest, most established societies at the time, and ended up civilizing at that time. In 1823, the British achieved this goal and ended up turning the old African empire into hunting land that would be used to harvest supplies for slaves. What was once known as East Africa now became known as the British East Africa.
The settlers who were originally started to settle down there consisted of sportsmen, traders, and prospectors who fell in love with the country and its potential. They soon began to build their homes, plant crops, as well as starting to raise livestock. With the balance of all these factors, we will begin to discover the daily lives of Kenyan settlers and the ups and downs of them settling on Kenyan grounds. Life in Kenya was built off the foundation of prior African traditions, along with British ruling. Social life also played a big factor in Kenyans' daily lives, as it was critical to their development as a race and empire. Even while facing the possibility of a foreign threat, Kenya was able to continue to prosper.
Kenyan colonies began to be established and fortified around the 1920s by the British Empire. This led to British dominance throughout the Indian Ocean coast towards western Kenya. Britain's colonial expansion continued at a rapid pace, which was met with native opposal. Native Kenyans wanted to establish their own control and tried refusing British rule. As a result, Britain took a strong grip on Kenya, as Kenya was important to the British Empire as it displayed their dominance and their competition with other European powers looking to colonize. One way the British tried to tighten their control was with religion. Natives had long practiced pageantry along with Islam. In order to push British control influences, many Christian mission stations were established to try and convert and unify the natives. In Vihiga, a colony within British-ruled Kenya, politics were used to try and keep access to the land and its use. Land was highly politicized and fought for, and as a result, it caused a lot of issues in Kenya. Political, economic, and social trends in religions where European settlements was prevalent ultimately led to war between Vihiga and the British Empire. The war was a major international factor in shaping Vihiga's agricultural environment during the 1940s. The communities were coping with land degradation, and the war affected agriculture and labor supplies and was preventing soil erosion. The war caused an outbreak in Vihiga, forcing an intensive agricultural system which threatened the welfare of the land. The British government failed to find solutions to land degradation while crop production was decreasing and relied on African labor to harvest the land. Officials were concerned about the wartime program on slowing down conservation efforts. Authorities in London only cared about economic interests of the colonial government. The NCA, National Construction Authority, led a resistance to fight for soil conservation. Locals made the situation even more complicated by not wanting to give up their jobs to conserve soil. A balance was set between compulsion and legislation to avoid making more effort for farmers during the war.
When it came to the population, there was a steady stream of migrants from the homeland of the Dominions coming in between the years 1904 and 1914. When the colony was growing over this course of time, they were involved in a major setback. World War I broke out between Germany and England, and had every able-bodied colonist departed on active service in the German East African Campaign. This also led to many new settlers arriving in the colony due to the government inaugurating a soldier settlement scheme. Due to these events, their progress has stood still and created a huge halt, which brought about a depression. The period of the depression occurred from 1921 to 1923 after the war. On February 10, 1925, the governor of Kenya, Sir Robert Corrington, died. He was one of the most powerful colonial administrators of his time, along with being a true visionary. His death filled many hearts with great pain and was universally mourned. He was a great loss to the colony, which he overlooked and appreciated very well. After his reign, Lieutenant Sir Edward Grigg took over.
Over time, the total population in 1936 was around 3,261,522 people, 18,269 Europeans, 41,835 Asians, and 12,855 Arabs were accounted for. Through the population, prevailing religious beliefs are pagan, but on the coast, Islam has started to develop and made great progress. In the colony and protectorate, there were many Christian mission stations, speaking on behalf of 13 different societies: British, French, Italian, Swedish, and American, 2 being Roman Catholic. Schools of elementary institutions and handicrafts were also at these stations.
In regards to community of white settlers, the health is classified in Kenyan colonies as 2 zones, one being a tropical zone and the other being subtropical. Europeans exhibited typical tropical aspects. Their complexions being sallow means time away from the area to rejuvenate, and the life expectancy isn't as long as the life in the old country. In the higher land, however, there's a different view on the population. The white population as a whole are healthy, people who are able to work big loads of pioneer labor and work just as hard at the age of 50. In the population, people start off life very good in regards to having few diseases causing fatal results. With the excellent supply of milk, it is important for the settlers to know it's safe for the children, considering there has not been a contamination in the milk with tuberculosis. Some children suffer from malaria, but this one-time disastrous disease doesn't have the same effect as it originally had. Most parents feared this disease for their children and questioned their settlement in Kenya, but it is curable and a preventable disease. With a small amount of tuberculosis, people were able to pick up and do a good day's work just as anyone else could. Pneumonia was the most prevalent disease, just as other countries. Settlers who became to settle in Kenya, who were past the age of 60, had shown tremendous rejuvenation ability and capabilities at old age. With the use of cold and damp climates, crippling rheumatic joint infections and bronchitis had become absent for the people of Kenya. Conditions in Kenya are supported by statistics, which can help support the general health impression of this colony. Many could have expected a relatively healthy life, along with a good life expectancy.
Kenya's modern trade system roots go deep in the past when the old merchant adventurers of Portugal created an African empire. The commodities of Kenyan trade were ivory, slave, the cotton piece good of Lancashire, and the beads of Birmingham, which all found their way to many African villages. If Vasco da Gama could see the wealth of Africa and the moral responsibilities of civilization in the 20th century, he would truly be amazed by how far these settlers have come. Trade expansion has given a new light in the work of colonization. It has brought on the creation of modern transport systems. The Kenya and Uganda Railway was used as the old caravan routes of Central Africa. The great steamers work at deep water wharves by the help of electric cranes. Feeder roads to the railway have opened up country districts for the population of trade and districts. Public and private money was used for funding and developing the use of transport services, social amenities, the building of towns, and the development of farms, plantations, and mines, which were growing in a rapid pace. 3 million Africans started to earn their own money using their own land and private properties. With the use of private and government employment, people started to want clothes, bicycles, food, and the luxuries of civilization. The principal imports mainly came from Japan, the United Kingdom, Germany, India, and the Netherlands. Other big groups were food, drinks, and tobacco. Kenya can be viewed through their exports such as coffee, sisal, tea, gold, hides and skins, cotton, maize, and carbonated soda. There was a big range of wide production, which includes butter, wheat, timber, wool, and essential oils. As the production of gold mining increased in 1937, its production rank went up to 4th in value among the colony's domestic imports. Economic crops succeeded by faith in early settlers. The country was developing fast and it is busy now in consolidation. The work took 30 years, including the 4 years of war and the 7 years of depression. The resilience of the country and all the population was the reason for Kenya's success.
Great Britain was colonizing in Kenya to make use of the land and spread the British political, economical, and social way of life. Owning land in Kenya was an opportunity to make money and display power during the hard time of the Great Depression and wars happening during this time. The establishment of the local power structure helped shape the land. Between 1904 and 1914, there was a steady stream of settlers who came from the homeland of the Dominion. When the war broke out, the colony was facing a major setback and had every colonist serve the East African Campaign. British East Africa, which since 1895 had been represented as a protectorate, and is a crown colony under the name of the Kenyan colony. The name Kenya came from the mountain Mount Kenya. The population of Kenya has been growing and started in the millions during the 1930s. These people began developing groups. These groups were filled with diversity in culture and religious beliefs. Temperatures changed throughout these colonies, and the people adapted to their environments, which influenced the population distribution. Diseases never stopped anyone from getting work done around the colonies. Trade began to become popular, so transportation became very important. People started making money, which caused an urge for spending. Kenya was being modernized and developing. Other countries began supplying while getting exports out of Kenya. People started to want nice things and to be successful overall. The people of Kenya cared a lot about the reputation of hospitality. The locals welcomed strangers with kindness and good nature of the English, Scottish, Irish, Welsh, and Dominion homes. Kenya is blended with a pleasant whole. They know their own choice of a home, which was a wise one. There was determination in making Kenya a well-founded and livable home. Sociability was a huge aspect in the culture. Everyone felt a need to be overly friendly. People were welcomed into strangers' homes. Kenya wanted an open-door reputation. The English way of life was becoming very popular, adding on country sports and clubs, all in the town. Kenya started out as a small, clueless colony and soon prospered into a modernized, livable home for all.